Hello and welcome to the Wheel of Crime podcast, the podcast where two ladies play games, shout profanities, and laugh way too often. Also, this podcast does cover topics of sensitive nature, and as such, listener discretion is advised.
Hello, and welcome back to the Wheel of Crime podcast. My name is Jen.
My name is Emily. Yes, welcome back. It's Friday. We're going to the club.
It's a party over here. It's Friday. Hell yeah.
I really thought for a second you were going to start singing It's Friday, and I was like, listen, some things we leave in the past.
It's Friday.
No!
Friday.
Stop. See, that's like, I don't know if you've been seeing these TikToks or not, but recently, whoever that man is from Glee, like the really cringy
Matthew Morrison,
choir teacher or whatever his name is. Yeah.
Morrison.
Yeah, that guy. He keeps showing up on my For You page because apparently he has a show or something, but he is wearing literally the skinniest jeans that I have seen in genuinely years. Years, and I'm like, that's a lot to unpack.
Yeah.
He's like, to me,
I do feel kind of bad for him.
A little bit. To me, it's kind of giving like cringy uncle. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like it's a very particular brand of awkwardness. But honestly, if he's having fun and he loves it, good for him.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like he takes it on the chin, so you know what? I love that for him.
Me too. It's a vibe. But anyways, yeah, we're back, I guess. Well, obviously.
Woohoo!
So
here we are,
Miss Jen. Miss Jen. Yes. What have you been up to recently that is fun and thrilling and exciting? That is not boring, does not have to do with work, and does not have to do with the weather.
So much criteria here.
I have to say it because
I came unprepared.
All I do, this is literally, I'm like, hey, we can't just give the play-by-play update of what the Canadian weather looks like at this moment in time for anybody who ever listens to our show. We can't keep torturing people like this, ourselves included. So we gotta dig deep and find the interesting things within to share.
I see. I like the ethos.
Mm-hmm.
I think you need to find a new co-host.
Yep, that's fair. I think I need to find a new frame of mind, maybe a new fake life. I need a new fake life that I can talk about that's way more interesting than this one.
Booked a trip to St. John's for this summer, so I'm looking forward to that.
Ooh, what's in St. John's to go see in the summer?
Our niece's wedding. She's getting married.
Oh, that'll be fun. A good old wedding, and a summer wedding is always fun.
Yeah, so it's a quick trip because we're both we'll be shooting at that point, so work's always crazy when we're on a shoot schedule. But yeah, we're taking a couple days off and flying to the other side of the country. I don't know why I said that in a country accent, but yeehaw.
Well, I know where we're from. I feel like it. I feel like it fits.
It's fitting. It's suiting.
It's very fitting. Okay, for me, I've not booked any trips yet. I'm hopeful for the year, and then beyond that, what have I done that is different and cool?
3 hours later.
It's hard. I feel like, I don't know. I definitely get into my little fixations is the problem. So then I'll bring them up one week and be like, I have this new thing I'm doing. And then it becomes the new thing that I do every week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, so in case anybody's curious, Pokeopia. Yeah, or Pokopia. I don't know.
She's obsessed.
It's very good. I've been telling Jen that it is... When I originally started playing it, it felt kind of closer to Minecraft, but now that I've put some more time into it, I see what Nintendo's done, and it really is just like Animal Crossing on steroids. So if anybody misses playing Animal Crossing and they're like, oh, it's cool, I just wish I could have more villagers and more ways to decorate and more things I could make and I want to live on a mountain. Well, guess what? You can do all those things. They did that. You can do it now.
Oh, wow. It's quite the endorsement from you.
Yeah, so that's fun. And then beyond that, just like I said, I'm trying to get through our Fourth Wing book because according to Jen, it starts to get fun here pretty soon. So once I'm done that, I don't know. I think we'll probably be on to the next one. And then
yep. I think we just need to, like, once you finish this one, we need to power through and just do Onyx Storm right away. Otherwise,
I feel like we're getting sucked into what happened with us in the later part of the Throne of Glass series. I feel like we went through something really similar with whatever that man's name is, Kale's book. I feel like that's kind of where we landed out with this, which makes sense though. I feel like sometimes with fantasy books you get sucked into the world so quickly, but then because there's plot happening and you're learning kind of what's going on at the same time, it just kind of drags a little bit sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So either way, I'll get there eventually.
I think you'll like the book by the end of it. I'm hopeful.
I think I will too. It's more so just like I said, I haven't been in like the reading mindset for a hot minute. I kind of bounce back between a few different things, so I'll get there. Just for whatever reason, seems to take momentous amounts of effort, but it's a hobby that I love. So
exactly. But should we get into our wheel of questions?
We should.
Would you ever adopt a child?
I feel like it's an interesting thing. If I was to get to a point in my life where I'm like, yes, I would love to have a kid, and I, for whatever reason, cannot physically have one, then yeah, I would adopt. Like, if it was that important to me, I don't get hung up on those types of things. I guess the question for me is more so like, child, no child. Where the child comes from is like neither here nor there. It's still a child, you know?
Mm-hmm. That's fair. I feel like I would under certain circumstances. I don't feel like I need a child to like complete me. I know some people really feel that way, that their life's not full if they don't have a kid of their own. And I'm kind of the same way as you, where like it would make no difference to me whether that child was biologically mine or adopted.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's not something that's super important to me, but I don't know. I don't think at least right now, I'm not in a place to have a kid of any sort, so.
Right. Well, that's the thing. It's like, it's a mindset thing. I think that it definitely changes if you are, say, actively trying to have a family and you're, for whatever reason, not able to have kids. Then it's like, yeah, of course, you're already wanting to build this particular type of a family. Why wouldn't you? Right? That's just kind of how it goes.
Yeah. I would be much more open, I think, to being a foster parent versus like a full-on parent. I can see myself doing that because like I like kids in a way, but like I don't know that I could commit to like forever with a child, you know?
Yeah. Well, and that's a tricky thing too. I feel like because relationships with people are so different, it's kind of like once you put yourself into a caretaker role, it's kind of like, do you really know what you're going to be getting out of that responsibility, right?
I don't know. But I'm open, but like not seeking that, you know?
Yeah. I just know that for myself, like 3 months ago now, just had a new kitty walk into my life, and that's already made things crazy, and goddamn, cats are kind of like toddlers sometimes. I can't, I'm like, I don't know about throwing another child in here. That's crazy right now.
Yes, that is for sure. I feel like kids are a lot of responsibility.
They certainly
as they
are.
should be.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, I feel like we're kind of the same opinion on that one, so I'm ready for the next question.
What form of wellness speaks to you the most? So like, are you like a supplements kind of girly? Are you like a yoga class girly? Are you like, what kind of like wellness speaks to you?
So I would say that I'm like, I don't know. I think of, if we're talking like what type of wellness girly I am, I generally just go off of what I know makes me feel good. So like, I like stretching, therefore I like yoga. I
Mm-hmm.
like not passing out because I'm iron anemic, so I do like taking vitamins. I hate running, so I'm not going to do that. But I do like the routine of like going for like a little walk on a treadmill and like watch like a TV show or listen to something at the same time and then lift some
Mm-hmm.
weights and then call it a day. I feel like that's good. So I don't know. I think I would call like casual wellness if that's a thing. Like I've never been like the kind of girl who's like, oh, I'm going to be doing bikini modeling and I'm going to drink 15 cups of protein powder and then hit the gym for 12 hours. Like, I know that's like super unrealistic and also an entirely
Mm-hmm.
fake situation. But like, just the idea of being hardcore like that or the personality type of being hardcore like that, I don't really feel like I've ever been there. But then on the other end, too, I've never been the kind of girl who's like, yeah, I'm going to get my ass up at 5 a.m. every day to go and downward dog the sunrise every morning. Like, I'm never going to be that person either. So, more casual. I'd say I'm casual wellness.
I feel like I'm an extremely casual wellness girly. There was a period of time where I was very into yoga, but like I have a hard time committing to stuff like that. I like sampling. I'm a hobby sampler. I
Yeah.
love having a little bit of everything, you know? I can't fully commit to that kind of lifestyle.
And that's the thing too, like that's why I like the balance of being like somebody who is casually into it. Because say for example, like maybe there's a day where I for whatever reason don't want to stretch because I feel like it's going to take 800 years, then I'll just do something else.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not like
Yeah.
an identity for me where I'm going to be like, no, I am this person. I'm just like, okay, I just like doing these things and I'm going to do what I like.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
Hell
Let's
yeah.
spin for our next question. If you were to get divorced in a hypothetical situation and remarry, what kind of husband would you want? Like if you could build your dream man.
I don't know. It's so interesting though because I feel like when you and I were teenagers, we would talk a lot about like, oh, like what's the kind of guy you want to be with one day and like that kind of thing. And then you meet
And I would have
people.
said a British Ryan Gosling.
Oh, absolutely. That's still on the table. Listen, I'm not so ridiculous. But like, I don't know. I feel like though it's interesting because when you get older, your type does change. I feel like people talk
Mm-hmm.
about this, but they don't really talk about it. The kind of person you're interested in when you get actually meet more people definitely changes because then you think like you like one type of thing and then you date somebody who's like that and you're like, woo, whoa, actually, never mind.
Yeah.
I feel like, if I was to remarry somebody, what would I want them to be like? They would need to, like, are we talking perfect man or like realistic man?
Either.
Okay. Smart, lots of money. Older man, no children. UK accent.
Hell yeah.
Thick hair.
Yeah.
What else? I feel like that's it.
Honestly feel like I'm going with British Ryan Gosling because that covers the money thing.
Mm-hmm,
You know, like it covers a lot of the bases.
It does, it does.
But with the caveat, no kids.
yes, because
I don't
they're
wanna
just
deal with that.
Because they're just so dedicated to their career, right? And then because they're so dedicated to their
Exactly.
career, they just give me a credit card and they say, I just love you so
Go
much and
spend
I
it,
feel
honey.
so bad that I'm not around so often, so why don't you just spend my money and then we can hang out? And I'd be like, okay.
If you insist.
I mean, when you put it that way, how could I refuse? Yeah.
Well, I'm glad we're on the same page
Basically.
as always.
Yep.
Yes. All right, well, should we spin for our last question?
Yes, Captain.
Do you consider yourself to be an influential person?
Once upon a
I mean, you influence me all the time, so
well,
let's just
that's
put that out
because
there.
We're basically the same person with the same interests for a lot of things. So
It's
that
true.
makes sense to me. But at one point, I would have told you no. But I've actually weirdly recently had quite a few people tell me, oh, I would have never done that had you not told me about it. And now I'm like, oh, am I just out here like micro-influencing people? Like, oh, freaky. Don't do all the things I say. I'm crazy. I do
You should set up an affiliate link.
Yeah, I'm like, you can do that, but don't rope me into it. Just because I do things that are crazy does not mean that we should all be doing these crazy things.
I think you're pretty good at both influencing and de-influencing me on doing things.
Yes. But I feel like that's kind of the nature. I feel like if you're somebody who is authentically giving things a shot is the thing. Because everything I'm not doing it with like, I don't usually like do things expecting a particular type of result out of them. I just do the experience. And then whatever comes out of it comes out of it.
You're also not trying to like sell me something. You know, it's not like when you watch a TikTok and someone's obviously trying to sell you something. It's like,
oh yeah,
I know that you're like just
for me.
Yeah.
I
don't know.
My life forever changed when I tried this skincare made out of corn, and I'm like, please get the fuck away from me as fast as you possibly can. But no, sorry, I totally interrupted you. What were you saying?
I was gonna say, I don't think I'm that influential. Like, I don't think I feel like that's not in my personality, you know?
I don't know. I feel like there's things that you've done where I've then been influenced to do that too, but at the same time, it's like, well, you and I have the same interests, so that's not really like like super challenging. If either you and I are doing something,
it's true.
Like, you should try this. It's kind of like, you know?
Yeah. I feel but like in general, to like people who are not you, I don't feel like I give off influencer, you know?
I don't know. It's a tricky one because I think too some people just have that kind of personality also where they're social. It's a very weird thing. Like you can tell when people are say like if we're talking influencer like the job type, you can tell people who are charismatic in the way of being influencing versus people who are specifically doing the job of influencing. Does that kind of make sense? Yeah.
I totally agree with you there.
Yep. No, because I get that. Yeah, I've had a weird amount of people come up to me and say, oh my gosh, I would have never done that if it wasn't for you. And I'm like, oh, but it's fine.
Don't sue me.
That's their life, not mine, so.
All right. Do you have any guesses as to what my story is about today?
Oh God. A health influencer poisoned a protein cup and gave it to her husband. And she's like, you're going to be so buff. And then he died.
Not even close.
Oh, okay. I didn't think so.
Like, not even 0.1%.
What? Fully wrong?
Just fully wrong.
Oh. That also has not happened in a hot minute. I'm usually like at least like a tinny schmimmy spin. It's fine.
I'm back on my cult kick to give you a point of reference.
You know, the thought crossed my mind and then immediately I went, I'm just going to forget that I thought that.
You de-influenced yourself from saying it.
I did. See, I'm also good at influencing and de-influencing myself. It's a talent, really.
Truly. But today, we're going to talk about a woman named Anne Hamilton-Byrne, and she was born by the name of Evelyn Grace Victoria Edwards on December 30th, 1921, in the Australian town of Sale. She was the eldest of 7 children in a working-class family. Her father, Ralph, was a World War II vet and often absent. Her mom, Florence, was a British-born woman who claimed to communicate with the dead and was intermittently hospitalized for mental health issues.
Unrelated.
But maybe related.
Yes. That feels like a very British backstory.
Experience. Yes.
Yes.
So Anne spent part of her childhood in an orphanage, and in 1941 she married Lionel Harris and had one biological child by the name of Judith, who later actually sued his mom and settled in Britain before predeceasing her, which is a whole other can of worms.
Gotcha. Okay.
In 1955, her husband died in a car accident, also unrelated. Although the couple had one daughter together, there have been rumors that she suffered a number of miscarriages after that. It also came to light that Anne and her husband were arranging to adopt a baby girl right before he died. So that grief that Anne experienced from the tragedy is what she attributes to her spiritual awakening, and yoga became her salvation, as she called it.
I mean, people processed grief in different ways, so fair enough.
In 1959, she officially changed her name from Evelyn to Anne, and in 1965, she remarried a man named Michael Riley, who was a South African naval officer. But the marriage didn't last. She later partnered with Bill Bryan, a British-born businessman, and they married in 1978. So in 1964, Anne started her own little group, which she coined The Family, and it started as a discussion group. However, by 1968, The Family became much more structured, and a significant property purchase of a compound in Olinda, Victoria occurred that same year. Under her leadership, the family developed a belief system that combined elements of Christianity and Eastern religions, anticipating an imminent apocalypse, as they do.
Yep.
What's a cult without an apocalypse incoming?
Can't say I've heard one yet.
It's true. So Anne claimed to be the reincarnation of Jesus Christ, attracting followers including a physicist named Rainer Johnson, who identified as the reincarnation of John the Baptist. Many of their followers were from educated middle class and professional backgrounds, which is kind of unusual for a cult. Usually their target audience is people who are lower class or uneducated.
Yes, so this is already a little bit strange. Okay.
Yeah. So roughly a quarter of the followers were medical personnel recruited by Rainer via Anne's Hatha yoga classes. Members mainly lived in the suburbs of Melbourne and townships of Dang Dong Ranges, meeting each other Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday evening at the Santin Keaton's Lodge at Crowther House in Olinda, or another property known in the area known as the White Lodge. So prior to establishing the family, Anne was a student of a Swiss national, Margit Seligman, who pioneered yoga in Australia during the 1950s. Anne would later go on to instruct her own Hatha yoga classes throughout Melbourne and Geelong. Eventually, she wove this ancient Indian practice into the core teachings within the family. Hatha yoga emphasizes the connection between body and mind, with postures held for extended periods to encourage strength, discipline, and awareness. Central to the yoga philosophy is the belief that a healthy body and nervous system are essential for sustaining mental focus during meditation and concentration. Anne taught these principles. She encouraged members to adopt a predominantly vegetarian diet and abstain from alcohol as a means of supporting one's spiritual energy. It wasn't just the adults who were taught the benefits of yoga, the children were too. So, in her 1995 memoir, Unseen, Unheard, Unknown, Sarah Moore, published under Anne Hamilton-Byrne, describes the monotony of growing up. Days begin with an hour of Hatha yoga, followed by listening to Anne's recorded teachings, chanting mantras, completing schoolwork, reading Hindu scriptures, and Zen philosophy. 3 bouts of meditation were interspersed throughout the day, and Dr. Rainer was a renowned physicist and academic, a former master of Queen's College at the University of Melbourne. He was fascinated by the mysticism and the paranormal, and in his later years he found a guru or a master in Anne. He became a prominent member of the family during the 1960s. So Rainer had been involved with the family for 9 years when The Spiritual Path was published in 1971. The book was intended as a guide for spiritual seekers hoping to find God consciousness or spiritual awakening, a state of unity with God. The text blends familiar Judeo-Christian practices of prayer and service from the West with Hindu-Buddhist concepts of meditation and reincarnation from the East. Elements of Jungian psychology, particularly in devotion, are paralleled with spiritual transformation across religious traditions throughout the book. Rayner explains that once an individual has been initiated on the path, quote, a master will often take charge of their karma. So that master will remove negative experiences or actions from past lives to enable spiritual progression. This is what happened to the family. Anne employed a rather distorted version of karma as a tool of control. Members believe without devotion to her, they would continue to experience the cycle of suffering on earth until it was resolved, delaying their ultimate unity with God.
Ooh, yeah, the whole, I don't know. Cults are always so interesting in definitely how the psychology of how people work and how people think it being manipulated. It always somehow leads into worshiping the cult leader, though, in some capacity for some reason. Like, it always ends up being, if you do not do this, you will not reach salvation. There's gotta be some kind of, like, narcissistic, egotistical thing happening with that, right?
Oh, for sure, there's a narcissistic tendency that a cult leader would need to have to even be put into that position, right? Like,
Right?
I don't think someone declares themselves the reincarnation of Jesus Christ without being a fucking narcissist.
Yeah. Well, and it's like, it's just so weird to me too, because like a lot of the things you said, like I can kind of see why it is that people were wanting to be a part of this, especially for like say like yoga, like a peaceful identity, trying to be vegetarian, you know, get spiritually figured out, trying to be a better person. Like this makes sense to me on why people would want to try this, because people are into that kind of stuff. But like when you start changing gears to the whole like, oh yeah, like, you know, we'll do yoga and be a vegetarian, and then if you don't pray to me, you're not going to meet salvation. It's like, okay, we've kind of changed. We were on one track and now we're on a different one. So like, which is it?
I think it's interesting with this cult specifically that it started as like a discussion group, a place where people who probably were like-minded or had similar like ideas about spirituality just came together to talk about it, and it's
totally. Well,
like it's slowly morphed.
Yeah, well, this could very easily be like a think tank, right? Like people who get together who are, you know, your what am I trying to say here? I was gonna say chair top, but you know what I mean? Like you're like armchair philosophers, for example, or like people who've gone to school and happen to all be people in the same program who think the same way. Like this could happen so easily.
And it does. So the family's religious framework blended elements of Eastern philosophy with familiar Christian imagery and interpretations, emerging at a time when New Age spirituality and countercultural beliefs were gaining momentum in Western society. Its quest for transcendence often came at the expense of ethical boundaries, a pattern that would define its legacy and cause more harm than good. An ex-member later described the group's beliefs as hodgepodge of Christianity and Eastern mysticism. The basis of the family's philosophy was that their founder, Anne, was the reincarnation of Jesus and a living God. Within that group, Jesus, Buddha, and Krishna were regarded as enlightened beings who came down to earth to aid humanity, with Anne being put in the same category as these teachers. On the basis of this belief, members of her inner circle claimed to be the reincarnations of the original 12 apostles.
I also just want to add this in too. So these are all people, or majoritively people, who are educated middle class medical professionals.
Yes.
If you are somebody with a background in anything medical, I don't really care if it means like you're a pharmacist or whatever the fuck. I feel like you receive more of an education compared to your average person on maybe what some signifiers of, like, certain
Mental
types of
illness?
yeah, how certain types of thinking lean into mental illness and these types of things. This is so strange that it's not just, like, obviously it starts with her, the one person, believing that she's the reincarnation of Jesus, which we've seen, before. I feel like that comes up a lot with cults. But then to expand beyond that and be like, and yes, of course, you are all the disciples, and to have people buy into that is also very weird for me.
Well, I mean, you have to remember, it's the 60s, right? So, like, I feel like mental illness wasn't really discussed. Like,
Well, not really.
those
Like,
people
not
were just
amongst,
deemed
like,
as, like, crazies, you know?
yeah. I feel like mental illness maybe wasn't necessarily a discussion in, like, the social sphere, which makes sense, like you said, for the 60s. But that's what I'm meaning by, like, if these are people who are medical professionals, though, because they, like, I feel like if, say, for example, your job is a pharmacist, wouldn't you be taught, like, yeah, people take medicine for this because they're mentally ill. Okay, here's your education on mental illness, sort of thing. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking about this too much, but I don't
I
know.
feel like that's wishful thinking. I feel like it didn't happen, even though
Yeah.
it probably should have, you know?
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. But okay. Weird, but okay.
So, Anne, just to paint you a little bit of a picture, Anne wore pearls and Chanel perfume. She played the harp and sang soprano. She had blonde hair styled in waves that caught the light. Much of her power, say her former followers, lay in her gray blue eyes. Quote, in ancient times we hear about enchantress who could enslave people with one glance, says ex-acolyte Fran Parker. She had the eyes that looked through your soul. Anne's ultimate tool of enslavement, however, was something that she pinpointed herself in a rare radio interview after the cult's devastating abuses were exposed. It was love. Just love.
So she's hot? Is that what I'm hearing?
So she's hot and she makes people feel special. So like every other cult leader.
Yeah. Well, okay. Let's hold on to that. Not all cult leaders are hot. I would even say most of them, if all of them, are just generally not.
No, not hot, but making people feel special and like they're a part of something special.
Yes. I feel like that's the thing, though. It's very much as, like you were saying earlier, if you're taking, like, what would be in the personality of a cult leader, like narcissism, for sure. But then I feel like that's another thing, too, like the ability to elevate people or to make them feel a specific type of way, like being able to, like, I don't know if it's charisma necessarily, but it's almost like they have the ability to see enough into a person to understand what they feel vulnerable about and then to exploit that in a manipulative sense. But it's not
I feel like you would have to be... Yeah, I feel like you have to be incredible at reading people in order to be a successful cult leader.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, too, is, like... And this is for people that aren't even members of your family, for example. Like, I feel like a lot of the times with these cults, it's usually an expansion of people's families or their communities because there's a lot of exposure happening there. But if you're looking at a cult that has a diversity in established members, that's almost more unusual to me and more impressive to the skills of the cult leader themselves, because they're not relying on, say, pre-built connections or social expectations to get that leverage. It's like you said, it's like a very, very keen skill in being able to read people.
Truly. So, during the late 1960s and 1970s, New Haven Hospital in Kew was a private psychiatric hospital owned and managed by Marin Vilmic, a family member. Not literally her family member, but a member of the family.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for the clarification.
Just so we're clear.
I did need that.
Many of its staff and attending psychiatrists were also members of the family. The family recruited some of the hospital's patients into the group and administered the hallucinogenic drug LSD to both patients and members under the direction of family psychiatrists John McKay and Howard Whittaker. One of the original members of the family was given LSD, electroconvulsive therapy, and 2 leukomenides during the late 1960s. Although New Haven Hospital had been closed down by 1992, an inquest was ordered that year into the death of a patient in 1975 that was alleged to have been due to deep sleep therapy. The inquest heard evidence concerning the use of electroconvulsive therapy, LSD, and other practices at New Haven, but found no evidence that deep sleep had been used on the deceased patient. The hospital was later reopened as a nursing home with no connections to its previous owner or uses, which I'll just say, I would not want to be a patient at that nursing home.
Hell no.
That's got bad energy attached to it.
That's a cursed building.
Yes. So between 1968 and 1975, Anne acquired is the correct word here, 14 infants and young children.
What do you mean acquired? What do you mean acquired?
She acquired them. So some were the biological children of members of the family. Other had been obtained through illegal adoptions arranged by lawyers, doctors, and social workers within the group who could bypass normal protocols. The children's identities... I'm not kidding. So the children's identities were changed using false birth certificates or death polls. All were given the surname Hamilton-Byrne and made to dress alike, even to the extent that most had their hair dyed uniformly blonde. The children were kept in seclusion and homeschooled at Kai Lama, a rural property usually referred to as Uptop, at Taylor Bay on Lake Eldon. All were told that Anne was their biological mother and knew the other adults in the group as aunties and uncles. All in all, Anne illegally adopted 14 children who were raised along with roughly 14 others by aunties at the secluded property. So 28 kids were stuck in this fucked up situation.
You know what it's giving? It's giving,
it's giving cults.
It is giving cult. It, like hardcore. It's also giving, what's that? There's a term for it. It's just, I slept literally 4 hours last night, so it's not coming to me. Where, like, Hitler only liked blonde kids with blue eyes. What was that? What was that called?
Oh my god.
Right?
I was just thinking about, yeah, I know what you're saying.
But literally, whatever that word is, which is an obvious word that I don't remember right now, it's giving that.
Yeah.
And it's also giving...
Eugenics. It's
Thank
giving
you.
eugenics.
It's giving eugenics. It's giving a little bit of the Von Trapp family from The Sound of Music. But like the deep dark version of that, whatever that is. Like it's very but like obviously with this, okay. I know I'm like my brain's like working forwards and backwards at the same time. I understand that cults within their existence are the point to them is to propagate ideas. This makes sense to me. I understand that in order to do that, you would need to have children who are impressionable to be able to further whatever the motivation is. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense to me. I understand too that this is the inverse of what male cult leaders do, because men don't have to be pregnant. They just go and, free ball into everybody they see, and suddenly they have like 20 million children. And that's not really an option for her. Makes sense to me. But at the same time, you're then having to rely on other people to cover for you and to basically steal children.
Mm-hmm.
Which to me is just like another thing in the box of she's got to have these like wildly insane manipulation skills above that of your traditional male cult leader to be able to achieve some of these things. Because there's no way you're having that many people, like, first of all, give up their own children to this, who are in on it. And people who are working within the system actively stealing children and doing all these heinous things. Like, that's crazy.
It is fucking crazy. So the children were denied almost all access to the outside world and subjected to discipline that included starvation diets and frequent unprovoked beatings. Doses of the psychiatric drugs fluazazine, diazepam, hyladropol, chlorobramazine, nitrazepam, oxynitrazepam, a bunch of them. Those are words I cannot say.
Me either. So
a bunch of hallucinogenic drugs, whatever. You guys get the point, I'm sure. Were frequently administered to the children. On reaching adolescence, they were compelled to undergo an initiation process involving LSD, while under the influence of the drug, the child would be left in a dark room alone apart from visits by Anne or one of the psychiatrists from the family. For several years, Anne developed a connection to the Siddha yoga movement, receiving Shaktipat initiation from Swami Mutkanda and taking the Sanskrit name of Ma Yogi Shakti. In 1979 and 1981, she took some of the children to stay with Muktananda at his ashram at South Fallsburg, New York, United States, and purchased a nearby property as her own base in America. Sarah Hamilton-Byrne, who was the author of the book we were talking about earlier, later, and she's one of Anne's illegally acquired children,
right.
Later recalled how Mukanda would give a private audience once a week to the family. He once asked the children if they wanted to leave the family and live with him in India, and the children all gave enthusiastic yes, but were later punished by Anne for disloyalty. According to Sarah, Anne eventually caused a lot of trouble at the South Fallsburg ashram, and some of Mutkanda's devotees defected to the family. Sarah was present when Swami Tijomandi was initiated into the family, later saying that she could not understand why he would want to join a sect where everyone was so miserable when it seemed everyone around Mutkanda was so happy. By the late 1970s, the cult had over 500 members and accumulated significant financial resources, which Anne used for personal expenses, including plastic surgery. By the 1980s, police estimated that Anne's fortune was as much as 50 million Australian dollars, which is a fuck ton.
Oof, okay.
In 1987, Anne expelled then 17-year-old Sarah from the group because of arguing and rebellious behavior. With support of a private investigator and others, she played an instrumental role in bringing the family to the attention of the Victoria Police. As a result of Sarah's efforts, a raid took place at the Kailama on August 14, 1987, amid allegations of child abuse. At the time, the compound housed 6 children. All children were removed from the premises and were discovered to have been adopted through illegal means. Sarah later went on to study medicine and became a qualified doctor. She learned about her adoption and eventually met her real biological mother. After the raid, Anne and her husband William left Australia for a period of 6 years. Operation Forest, an investigation involving police in Australia, the UK, and the US, resulted in their arrest in June 1993 by the FBI in New York. This followed admissions by former members of the family, including the group's solicitor Peter Kibbe, that the group had engaged in adoption scams, including acts of forgery. Anne and William were extradited to Australia and charged with conspiracy to defraud and commit perjury by falsely registering the births of 3 unrelated children as their own triplets, charges that were later dropped. If that tells you anything about the justice that we're gonna get from this case.
Cool. Okay. Love it. Hate it. Thanks.
You're welcome. Elizabeth Whittaker, the wife of Howard Whittaker, was their co-defendant. Anne and William pled guilty to the remaining charges of making false declaration and were fined $5,000 each. Anne was not prosecuted for child abuse due to concerns about the children's capacity to testify. The conspiracy charges against Howard were dropped, but she was convicted of falsely obtaining nearly $23,000 between 1983 and 1987. Other members of the family were also tried at court. Margaret McLean, age 64, was convicted of falsely obtaining $28,000 between 1978 and 1988. Joy Trevelyan, age 56, was convicted of falsely obtaining over $38,000 between 1979 and 1988. Helen Buchan, age 49, was convicted of falsely obtaining almost $15,000 between 1980 and 1987. In August 2009, two individuals received financial compensation from Anne after suing her. Her granddaughter, Rebecca Cook Hamilton, had sued for alleged psychiatric and psychological illness, alleging malnourishment and cruel, inhuman treatment by Anne and her followers. Her award was estimated to be $250,000. Another former member of the family, Cynthia Chan, alleged that she paid the sum of $352,115 to Anne for the real estate in Olinda, but the property was never actually transferred to her. She also alleged that she paid the sum of $70,400 to Anne for another property, but this too was never transferred to her. Anne said that she had no memory of the transaction, and Cynthia's judgment was estimated at $250,000, which I would be so pissed if I bought two properties and they were just like, I forgot. I don't think I did that.
There's so many things to be mad about. Like, obviously that one. But at the same time, I like that the thing that they're mad about here is just the money. They're like, yeah, you gave a bunch of kids LSD, and that means that they're unreliable witnesses. So, did the abuse happen? Meh.
Who's to say?
Who's to say? But the money, like, oh my god, it just drives me crazy.
So, Anne's husband, William, had died in 2001. She attended the funeral in her only public appearance following her conviction. In later years, it was reported that Anne was living in a Melbourne nursing home and suffering from dementia, and that an internal succession crisis for leadership of the family was unfolding. In an interview with ABC local radio in Ballard, Ben Shenton, a former adoptee of the family, said the group had become a, quote, toothless tiger. Sarah, the one who initiated all of the raid and all of that, died in 2016, aged 46. And Anne died on June 13th, 2019, age 97, still very much involved with the family.
Oh, yeah, of course. Stupid.
So yeah, this one makes me mad because there was really no justice for the 28 children she just psychologically and physically tortured. But
no, they literally were like, let's just fine you a whole bunch because of your illegally acquired funds.
Fined her $5,000.
Yeah, and overlook your illegally acquired children. Like, I feel like one of these things is the bigger issue.
Like, for someone worth an estimated $50 million, a $5,000 fine is nothing. Like, that's not even... Yeah, it's like an annoyance.
And then on top of that, they're like, and we guess you can still, like, have relations with the group you created. Excuse me? Like, what are we talking about?
I don't know. This one pissed me off, though.
It's completely nonsensical. Like, completely nonsensical.
Yeah. That's the end of our story today. Hope you liked it.
Thanks. If you liked today's episode, make sure to leave us a review on wherever you're listening to our podcast. We have our website, which is www.wheelofcrime.com. You can check us out on there. We have our Patreon, which is Wheel of Crime at Patreon. We have our email, which is wheelofcrime@gmail.com. And lastly, we also have our social media, which is on Facebook, X, Instagram, and TikTok, all at Wheel of Crime. And then lastly, we do have our listener stories form up on all of our social media. So if you listen to today's episode and you're like, I knew somebody in that cult, I guess, write in and tell us all about it. You can, like I said, access that form on our social media and potentially get a feature on our next listeners episode.
Yes, and that's it. That's all. We'll see you next week for another new episode. Okay, bye.
Bye.